Okay, I have a request before we begin, and that is, especially since we have argued with the tech gods, is we take a little bit of sage and we open up this space in this conversation tonight, this radiant, real, is it real first or radiant first? Real, open-hearted, authentic, radiant conversations between Jen, myself, and Violet, and all of you who are here today to participate in what we hope is a space for us to all come together and have a voice and to be able to share in our journeys and our beingness, and that the words that we speak tonight, the three of us, are spoken from the heart, and that we have the wisdom that comes through from our ancestors, our spirit guides, our power animals, and all those who have gone before us, who are here to conspire with us. And for each person who is here present, that they be wrapped in love and have an engaging conversation with us, even if energetically. Aho, this circle is open.
Uh-huh.
So thank you guys for all being here. And so there's only three of us here today, and which is kind of a perfect number for us. And there's a lot of power in three. And I would like to actually, we kind of went around in different areas with this live, and we had some topics to start out with, some questions and things like that. But what became kind of clear as we discovered who was going to be here, which is Jen, is that all three of us are writers in some capacity. And so we felt like this session, we would focus around writing as a means of healing for ourselves, and how it's been medicine, women who speak with fire, and finding that voice again. And so I think that what I'd like to start off with, if Jen and Violet, you guys are okay with it, is each of us kind of introducing ourselves in how writing helps you to heal and how you've incorporated it into your spiritual path.
Yeah.
Would one of you want to go first?
I can go first. I can kick it off. I
All right.
am happy to be here. This is a lovely space, and I'm glad we made it through the tech door and to this conversation. I've been writing since I was about 19. Of course, I wrote a little bit as a child as well, but I really started understanding writing as part of almost a spiritual process for me, although initially I looked at it more as just kind of therapeutic, honestly. I was just like, if I process on the page, I can better understand the thoughts in my head and what's happening in the world. And I originally, some of you who are here that maybe have practiced with me before, every now and then I share a little bit about my story, but I was a high school dropout. I had a tough childhood and young adulthood. And when I finally found my voice on the page, it's what led me to go to community college and then eventually stick with that and pursue writing and English. And over time, that's just kind of blossomed into a career as a teacher, a lecturer, and also a meditation teacher and a holistic creativity coach. So that is who I am and a little bit about my writing.
Wow.
Thank you.
That's an awesome story.
Mm-hmm.
So for me, I started writing in this little journal when I was like 9 or 10 years old. I remember my sister giving it to me as a little gift right before my birthday. And it seemed like it just went on from there. I just never stopped. And my practice now is I get up every morning. I have my tablet by my side and I pull it out and I do like my morning pages. I just write about whatever, gratitude, how my day was yesterday, or I script how my day's going to go today. And, that for me has been better than therapy. I'm Violet, by the way. I forgot to announce that. Violet in New York.
Love it. Your name is underneath your picture, so maybe, that could be
Oh,
a clue.
okay. Okay, good.
Thank you for that, Violet. And I'm Dakota, and writing is my jam, really. I have written ever since I was a kid. I always joke that my very first story was written on this yellow tablet that my mom had. My mom was a nurse, and she had always brought home these pharmaceutical giveaways that they gave at the doctor's office. And one was this yellow tablet with this medicine on top, the big label of it. And I wrote a 4-page letter or 4-page story about Bigfoot killing my parents in a tent in the forest.
Wow.
So I wasn't Stephen King, but there's some psychology in that one.
Yeah, really.
But that was my first story that I ever wrote, and I never put the pen down after that. I just always loved it. And then when I was in my probably late teens, early 20s, I started doing some therapy. And my therapist always encouraged me to journal and write and do art therapy. And so I have all these journals from ever since I was a teenager. And there's between ranting about my parents or writing song lyrics or writing poetry or stories, it was always my journal's a little schizophrenic, I think, but because it's got all these different things in it. But I love writing. I find that it's a very powerful medium to work with, probably more so than anything. And so now I write like Jen meditations and journeys and curriculum and stories and song lyrics and you name it. But yeah, writing is a powerful tool that I've found. So I'm curious if either of you guys, I know I do you have a ritual before you write?
I started using the Insight Timer app for like those 5 minutes of silence because I'm not the type of person who can really meditate, but I can do the 5 minutes and just kind of sit quietly. And then I'll play some music and I'll start writing. So that's been my ritual. What about you, Jen?
Mm,
That's beautiful. I love timed writing because it gives you a container to work in. And so I try to do that sometimes too. And I love prompts. I will
mhm,
say that much like you, Dakota, I mean, it depends on what I'm writing and where my head is at. And I don't always know what's going to come out, but I do know that while I understand what ritual is, I still believe that I found just from writing for so long and taking it almost too seriously for a certain amount of time that
mhm.
I have to kind of just listen to myself and say, hey, am I really, is this the practice I need today? Do I need to do some, somatic dancing with the hour that I have in the morning instead and maybe write in the evening? So I don't have a very regular schedule. And in fact, sometimes when I'm working on a larger project, I will write with extreme focus for
Mhm.
weeks and take quite a bit of a time off just to, I don't know, recalibrate and
Yeah.
just feel with the other senses. Yeah, yeah.
Love it. Yeah. I don't I my rituals change depending on what I'm writing, but I do have like it's got to be my favorite pen,
Ooh.
and I have one journal that fits nicely in my pack. It's
Mhm.
a kind of leather travel journal. And for me, I write better when I'm outside.
Mhm.
So whenever possible, I go out into the woods or by the river and just feel all that energy around me because that kind of feeds the muse, so to speak.
Yeah.
But I do find though when I write in the house, I can't always use this computer that I'm sitting at right now.
Mhm.
I have to disassociate from that piece, and so I have a laptop that I will. It has bare minimum, and that's what I use to write if I'm doing freehand kind of
Mhm.
stuff. But it's I I've not tried the timed writing because I feel like it's too much pressure. It's like, oh, I gotta hurry, I gotta hurry, I gotta hurry.
It is.
Especially if the buzzer goes off.
Yeah. I'm curious, do you do all of your primary writing, like the first drafts of things, Dakota, on the page, like pen to page, or do you type when you're just ideating, when you're just thinking about processing on the page?
My handwriting is atrocious. Even I can't read it sometimes. So what I'll do on the page, pen to paper, is I'll outline it first
Mhm.
and then I'll type it because I type as fast as I can think. And for me, it's easier. Or I do dictation. I do that a lot, actually, because it gets a little bit more of my authentic voice. So I do a couple of different pass-throughs when it comes to writing meditations. One is the outline. What do I want? And I usually follow the arc of either the hero's journey or the medicine wheel. And then I take the outline and I flesh out like one first draft. And then I take that first draft and then I vocalize it. I do like an audio. And then I kind of fine tune it. And sometimes I'll run it through, depends on what I'm writing, I'll run it through AI to fix any of my grammar. And because not great on grammar. I was not paying attention when I was in school. So it's a multi-pronged process for me. But
I see a question
the
from
pen to the
Maribel
paper feels
about
good.
writing. Yes, pen to paper does feel good. I was thinking about one of the things that came up is, can you write what you really feel if you're always doing it on paper? For me, that's always a no because I don't want anybody to read what I write. So that's why I tend to use a lot of digital, tablets or I go on my laptop or whatever because I can password protect it.
Yeah. I think too that when you're typing anyway, or pen to paper even, I'm going to go into my medicine wheel. You're in the East energy, so you're using a lot of that mental and vocalizing. I use Whisper.com, that app. That tends to move me a little bit more into that heart space. Or if I'm out in nature, that moves me into the heart space. Maribel, though, I want to answer at least my perspective on that because I don't know if you're talking about the Artist Way morning pages.
Yes.
Julia Cameron. I hate morning pages.
Oh gosh, and I do that every morning.
This is the real conversation.
Yeah, this is a real conversation. I've gone 13 times through the Artist Way, taking groups through it, and morning pages were always my challenge. But I'll tell you what, Maribel, what I learned is because the thing is you have to go without stopping. And when I'd get to the place where I didn't know what else to say, I'd write that. I don't know what to say. This is stupid. I hate morning pages. Why am I doing this? How much longer do I have to do this? And then boom, something else will come out, another thought. But you just dictate that. Like, I don't know what to say. I'm running out of words. And you write all that. And that actually helps me because then I get out of my head a little bit more.
Yeah, and I guess I should elaborate.
I will say when I do morning pages, yeah, it gives you space.
Yeah.
How do you do yours, Violet?
I was going to say, I should elaborate because I'm kind of a rule breaker. I don't follow Julia Cameron's rules on how to do morning pages. I've been doing it for like 4 years, kind of developed my own style where I will write, but I don't necessarily keep writing. I might stop and then continue. I might stop to think and then continue. So honestly, I don't do the brain dump. I more or less am just writing about whatever I want, whether it's what happened yesterday, what I want to happen today, or sometimes it's just what I'm grateful for. So I shouldn't call it morning. I guess I call it morning pages because I started with her, but I developed my own style of doing it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm glad that you spoke to that though, because I think that once we start putting pressure on ourselves around anything from meditation to writing and say we have to do it every day or we have to do it the way that this person prescribes it, it stops feeling authentic to us.
Yes.
And so it's really important to find your own path and listen to what everybody is saying, but like try, maybe adopt some things, don't adopt others. Try
Mhm.
something for a week, see if it maybe clicks and
Right.
sinks in. One thing I'll add, it just, from teaching writing for many years, I found that this works a lot of the time. I would say almost all of the time, is that if you want to write something and you feel very stuck, instead of trying to write prose or write a poem, just start listing things. List the words that are in your,
Mm,
list the things that you see in
yes.
the room. If you can make a list, you can take that list and look through for themes and grab themes from that list and then say, okay, you know what? I kind of know what I want to write now. Because a lot of times it just comes from like this place of, I don't know what to say, or I don't even know what I'm thinking.
Yeah.
And then it starts to flow a little bit more. So it's almost like we have to decode and peel away the layers, to get
Hmm.
thinking, kind of like meditation. And it's a practice.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think of
It is.
exercise, if you're doing exercise that you don't like, you're not going to stick with it. So when I journal, I tell people that do what you like. I was in a live once on Inside Timer, and the teacher was telling people, you have to write with a pen on paper. You can't do it digitally. And I was like, wait a minute, I disagree. I understand the theory behind
Yeah.
that, but my feeling is let them do what works for them. Because if you tell me that I have to lift 300 pounds of, whatever barbells every day, I can't do that. I'm not going to stick with it. So if you let me modify
Right.
and do what works for me, I'm gonna come back. I'll keep doing it. I'll keep trying.
I think that's the important thing too. That's part of autonomy is doing you,
Yeah.
not prescribed to what everybody else says. And that's how we find our voice, is by what we have innately discovered within ourselves, what's easiest for us, what's the easiest way for us to access. And like you, Jen, I also, I always tell people, I always carry with me a small little notebook. No matter where I am, I always have access to a pen and a small notebook. And a lot of times I'll maybe overhear a conversation, or I'll see a sign, or I'll hear a song, and there'll be one word or one lyric that might stand out to me, and I just jot it down, or a thought that comes to me. And then later, when I'm sitting down to write, I'll pull that out and see if there's anything from that I want to incorporate. I've been writing a lot of songs lately too, and I love to write songs for people, about them. And sometimes I take little snippets of what I know they like, or their conversations, or things like that, and kind of weave that into the song lyrics too. But yeah, always carrying something that you can capture those moments.
Yeah, I love
I
that
don't know about you
idea.
guys, but 3 o'clock in the morning is like a witching hour for me. And if I
Yeah.
don't write it down, I lose it.
Yeah.
Even if I say, oh, I won't forget this one. Yeah, I forget it.
Yep. Very true. It's very true.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah.
we have to just like grab the ideas, and hang.
Mm-hmm.
I love that. I love that you say like just kind of overhearing things too, because I feel like a lot of times like we think about what we see or what the feelings that we have, but even just the way that we interpret what we hear in the world, like it's so
Yeah,
there's endless material out there. It's just
there
about
really is.
kind of, yeah, looking for it in the right way. Um,
Yeah.
yeah.
I don't know. I think that there's also uh, it makes you pay attention more. It does me anyway. Like,
Yeah.
I'm not sleepwalking through the world. Even when I'm at the grocery store, it's like overhearing little conversations or
Yeah.
things like that. And I think too, like one time I've shared the story in my classes. I was in TJ Maxx one day, and I hear this old woman who's on the phone and sounds just like my grandmother, who had died like 13 years earlier. And I was so mesmerized. It's like, oh my gosh, grandma's here. And I followed that old woman around the grocery store the entire time. She probably thought I was stalking her. I was probably freaking her out. But she was talking to her granddaughter on her phone, and she was just saying like little things. And I would jot down a couple of things that she would say. And later that night, I ended up writing a letter to my grandmother, and then burning it. as a way to release it for her. So it turned into this whole ritual. But that's like the example where anywhere you are, there's inspiration to be found everywhere. I don't know. What inspires you guys
My
the
showers.
most?
I don't know why. It's always my shower.
Yeah.
I love
Yep.
that question because I'm like, that's always my answer. It's the shower. I get in the shower and I have a million ideas and I don't write them down, you know? So it's like either I jump out and I got to make some notes on my phone. Someone suggested I get some kind of shower note thing that, you know, it's waterproof or whatever.
Yeah.
And I'm like, yeah, maybe I should do that because I feel like I have great ideas when I'm in the shower. What
I
about
hear
you?
that so much.
Yeah,
Like
I
really?
I
do
feel like
too.
it's common, you know. I like maybe it's because you're literally in the flow.
Right?
Literally, yes.
Yes, yes.
There's something about the water element though, right? So it just is like cleansing in the shower. You're by yourself usually, and
Yes.
it's just that uninterrupted time
Yeah.
to just kind of be in it. Have
Yeah.
you, one of the topics I find really powerful to bring into the writing is women and how they've lost their voice over time. And, uh, you know, and it's just, that's a subject for me anyway that's been really up front this past year. And I feel like there's a tie-in definitely between writing and finding women finding their voice, especially in today's society. How have you guys kind of gotten your voice out there to be heard,
This is also,
whether it's through your writing or through your speaking?
I was gonna say, this is also one of my favorite topics because for the longest time, you know, my first husband was a character and he always was like on and talking over everybody. And I always felt invisible when I was around him. And I remember our fifth marriage counselor, I remember saying that I felt invisible when I was in a room with him. And even in marriage counseling, it was like they were always focusing on him. And I was just there like, you know, a piece of furniture or something, which is why I finally decided to divorce him. Because I'm sitting in therapy and I'm like, I feel invisible. This man is always yelling. He's always angry. And I'm over this. I'm done with it. And I think for me, that was part of finding my voice. I remember the therapist said to him, well, as he was raging over whatever, she said, well, you know, obviously she cares and she loves you and she's here to save the marriage. And she finally turned to me and was like, right. And I said, nah, actually, no, I'm done. I said, I want a divorce. I'm done with this. This is not going to get any better.
Wow.
Yeah,
Good for you.
at that point, of course, he lost it. So she was a little worried about letting us go. And I was like, I'm fine. I'm not, you know, I was not afraid of him. I knew he wasn't going to do anything. He just was an angry person. And during that time in my marriage, which was a crazy time, I used to do a lot of journaling. Like I would journal every day, not morning pages, just journal morning, noon, night, whenever I felt like it. And I felt like that was my therapy. And there was so much coming out throughout that time. And I think that was part of the process of me deciding that I no longer wanted to be with this person. And I remember the first time that I woke up in my own apartment, you know, after I ended the marriage and all that. And I was like, wow, I could breathe again. Like I hadn't realized how stifled I had been for 15 years. It was, I mean, talk about healing. That was amazing.
Yeah,
Wow.
that is amazing.
Yeah, thank
Glad you're
you
out
for
of
that
that.
story. That's really, really powerful. And you know, I see resonates in the chat and
Mm-hmm.
thank you
Yeah.
is beautiful. And it shows up in so many different ways. It shows up, you know, maybe at the workplace or in your career. It shows up in the arts. It shows up
Yeah.
if you're a writer, if you're someone who's trying to publish traditionally, especially, it shows up in huge ways. There are certain categories and limitations around women's fiction, what women can
Mm-hmm.
write about, what genres and what awards
Yeah.
to women. You know, these kinds of things are very there's it's still very clear barriers, I think,
Yeah.
for women's voice. And I think thinking about relationships, it's replicated in what we do and give to the world. Um,
Hmm.
I believe that just having writing as a companion in my life has helped me to better understand that I have the right. And not only do I have the right to be vocal, to share my thoughts, my ideas, but I also am offering something when I do. And when I hold
Yes.
back, I'm holding back not just from the people that I'm worried will batter and bruise whatever I offer, or the people who, might steal ideas, so to speak,
Hmm.
and take credit for them, I don't
Yes.
think anybody can relate to that. But that happens to women, a couple women out there. And
Yeah.
and, and you think about how what we're sharing is actually a unique perspective that may resonate with somebody else, help somebody else. And so for me, writing is a way of just kind of organizing, clarifying my thoughts and
Hmm.
exploring stories that Dakota, to what you said, like the stories that are untold or the
Yeah.
stories that are undertold or
Yes.
the stories that are co-opted and retold in a particular
Hmm.
way, with a particular agenda. And so right now, I'm working on a book about Victoria Woodhull, and I'm not trying to sell the book here,
I
but
saw that.
yeah.
I'm ordering one.
Yeah, so and for those in the chat, if you're like, who is that? That is not uncommon.
That's,
She's like a
yeah.
Jeopardy answer type of name in our society, and yet at the same time, she was the first woman to ever testify in front of a congressional committee, the first woman stockbroker, the first woman to run for the U.S. presidency, and we don't know her story, and her story has been muddled and jumbled, and there's so many
Yeah.
of those. It's not just, I mean, there's so many of those. And
So
so I
many.
like, yeah, we as women, like, I appreciate it when I hear you share and everybody else share, because then I say,
Hmm.
okay, I can do it. I can do
Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah.
And I think it's different too, just in the women's spaces, and not to diss any men who are,
it.
especially men who are here right now, but there's a difference in spaces I find where when I'm in a group of women and I'm speaking, I feel heard,
Yeah.
not just from the ears, but from that soul level. And yet there's so often when I'm in spaces where it's co-ed and there's this overpowering, there's this dynamic that happens of, no, let me tell you how it really is, honey.
Yeah.
And and I my wish is for women everywhere to have the opportunity to be in a space where you feel really heard from a soul level, from a heart level,
Yeah.
and and take that out into the world. And I think that's where the supportive spaces are really super important
Yeah.
to have, to be able to do that.
Yeah, I remember
I don't know.
when I divorced my first husband, I was on a platform that some of you might remember called MySpace.
Oh,
Remember MySpace? And
by the way,
I
before we move, was it Tom? Was it Tom or
yes,
who was the guy?
Tom, right? It was
Tom,
Tom.
okay.
Yes.
Yeah, I remember
And I remember, I don't know, I guess I used to write stuff there, kind of like you do on Facebook, share stuff. And I remember there was someone who lived in California, a woman who lived in California who I became friends with. And I remember her writing to me and saying, thank you for sharing your story. Because of you, I found the courage to get out of my unhappy marriage and, start over because you were so brave. And I saw that you were doing it and you were doing okay. And I was like, wow, like that was it was such a great thing to hear, first of all, because I felt like a bad person for, being the one that ended the
Mm-hmm.
marriage and disrupted the kids and all that. And yeah, well, you know how that goes, Jen. You go through so much, like I'm a bad person and the guilt. And
Mm-hmm.
I am happy to say I'm over that now. And part of that was the track that I published on Insight Timer not too long ago, where I finally let out. It was like 20 years of guilt and carrying this, like I didn't realize how much I
Yeah.
carried it. And when I finally let that out and wrote that down and made that track, again, another level of I could breathe and I felt free, like took me
Yeah.
60 years to get here, but I feel free now.
Yeah. That's awesome.
Yeah.
That
Yeah.
is awesome.
A great
I
feeling.
think too. Yeah, go ahead, Jed.
Yeah, I was just wondering because we've been talking about writing and kind of approaching it from different angles, like finding permission through writing, giving ourselves permission through writing, clarifying thoughts. And then, also, I see Billy put in the chat that the sharing our writing can be very
Yeah.
powerful and show, others that, they're not alone. And that's so
Yes.
beautiful. And I wonder for you both, because I think about this a lot. How do you know when you're ready to share your writing and when it's just for you?
Mm.
That's such a
Wow.
great question.
Yeah.
I want to say that for me, I've never known it was time to share. I just pushed myself to do it because I felt like I needed that release, and I want to say part of how I know that it was time to share, like the letter, was because I cried so much. Like I recorded that track 6 times before I could finally stop crying, and I felt like this is something that I need to share. There's a reason why it's so strong inside of me. So I think for me, it's just I've been pushing myself.
Yeah. I have a hard time not sharing a lot of times. And well, on Mother's Day, I wrote an article on Substack about my mom, and my mom has a very unsung story. She gave up a lot of her life when she married my dad, and for me, there was such cathartism in the writing of it because there were a lot of things in the story that never made it to the end of what I put on Substack. I'd write a whole story out and then I'd erase it and I'd change it and I'd morph it. And for me, like I cried through that entire time of writing. It took me about 4 days to write it. And then I wrote a song for her. But the process for me was so deeply personal, and the pieces that never made it to the final edit was what I was comfortable with sharing with others, with sharing with the world. But those pieces that I took out, those were like I needed to get them onto the paper and see them in the whole story, and then I could gather it back up and put it right back into my soul. And I feel like I did her justice in that story. And I just and then there's times where I feel like I'll say something or I'll write something and be like, oh, Dakota, why did you do that? Why did you share that? Not often, but actually those times are the times where, and I think this is a question that or a topic we all should talk about, is this happened on Substack the other day. There was a man who made a comment on somebody who I follow, this really beautiful woman that just posts these beautiful things, Alice Wilde. And his comment was so derogatory. And it was basically saying, basically women shouldn't be taking up space.
Wow.
And I went to his profile and I was looking at he's an Andrew Tate follower, whoever that guy is. And I couldn't help myself. I just said some things on his post and I believe all of them. I believe everything I wrote. But then afterwards I thought, oh, Dakota, why did you do that? You're such a spiritual person. You're supposed to have this persona that you're the good girl and you're spiritual and you're, all this stuff. And then there's the other part of me. There's the devil on one side and the angel on the other that's saying, you know what, screw that. That's I carry all facets. And that anger was real. It was this internal anger of, how dare you say these things about women, or, it's just awful. And I had to forgive myself to say, it's okay to respond that way because that's where women's voices need to be heard,
Yeah.
even in those spaces. Thanks, Alicia. But I think that there's this, and I don't know if you guys feel it too, there's such a, in these spiritual spaces, this idea that we have to be a certain way. We can't say certain words in public. We can't display anger outwardly. And we have to walk the Om path all the time.
Yeah.
And this just isn't reality.
Yeah.
Like, I am a sailor in my real life. Not like every other word, but pretty close. Because there's power in some of those words.
Yeah.
And I think that's where we all need to give each other permission to, just show up however you are.
Yeah.
And sometimes that's, word vomiting on your meditation mat. I don't know. How do you guys deal with that?
I love that. I think that so often we're told to be what is expected, whatever that is, whatever spaces we are in. And obviously, if we can find spaces like this where we're connecting with people that we want to get to know better, we understand, we know will give us space to be ourselves. It feels safe. It feels like a place where I can show up and be courageous and be myself and just be, who I am totally without fear. But there are a
Yeah.
lot of spaces out there where it's contentious. If you stand up
Yes.
for what you believe in, people will write things on your Substack. They will, harass you. They will threaten you. For things that I've written, I've received multiple threats through my writing. And I've never written anything offensive, but I've written very candid things
Yeah.
about my journey and my journey as a woman specifically. And I've also written a few political things that I've gotten some pushback. I'm not gonna lie. The fact of the matter is, I think it's really important to address the fact that there are people out there and there's energies out there that will there's a reason why people are sometimes afraid to share their voice. That's a legitimate fear. There are people
Yeah.
that won't love it. There are people that may even spit their vitriol at you. But at the same time, I believe that actually being on the receiving end of those things, you start to realize like what your values really are and who you really are
Yeah.
even more sometimes. And they're never as scary as you think they're going to be. It's always different. I'm not saying that they're not bad. They're bad,
Yeah.
they're uncomfortable, they can be outright dangerous, but you showing up as you is the greatest courage and the greatest gift you can give yourself. And that's on the page. That's,
Yeah.
sharing the words that you've written. And sometimes for me, writing just helps me to remember that it's worth it to stand up in person too. And so it's like my companion. I feel like writing itself, I know that there are the muses and there are different goddesses that I could say, that represent creativity. Like I work with Bridget a lot, but I would say that also creativity in itself, like the breadth of creativity is with us.
Yeah.
And it's something that kind of helps to guide us when
Yeah.
we're in those uncomfortable situations, because we have to be creative. We have to be able to think of creative, resilient solutions and ways of standing up for what we believe. So
Yeah.
anyway, I'm on my soapbox, Violet. You take it.
No, you're fine. You're fine. I was thinking
Box away.
as you asked that question, growing up, I remember my mom saying to me, oh, that's not the way young ladies behave, or young ladies shouldn't say that, or you shouldn't have, or my dad saying, don't do that because no one's ever going to want to marry you if you behave that way, or you don't have long nails, or you bite your finger, just silly things that kind of stuck without realizing, stuck in my mind. And now as an adult, I mean, even then, I think, because I was young, I always said I was I was the youngest of four. I was the rebel without a clue. So if they told me not to do something, then I did it. And I felt like throughout my first marriage, I was doing that a lot. I mean, he stifled me a lot, but everything that he said I shouldn't do or I shouldn't be, I wanted to do and I wanted to be. And, it's just crazy how I didn't even realize how a lot of these things were so ingrained that I was just doing them without even thinking about it, right? I was being the little wallflower and the quiet wife, and I'm not like that anymore.
Thank goodness. Thank the goddess, as my wife would say.
Yes.
I think it's important for all of us to really lean into finding that voice, though, however that voice, and the voice changes depending on where you are, who you're with, what you're going through. It's never really just the same. But I would like to see that everybody, male and female, in the spiritual space, to be able to just be human.
Yes. I say that all the time. It's so, I was saying to my husband the other day, I said, I feel like I look at people as though they're human. So I don't understand all these other, categories and issues that happen right now. And I say to him all the time, is it just me? Am I the only one who thinks that way? Or maybe I'm from another planet, and when the mothership comes back for me, it'll all make sense.
As Evie's saying,
let's go to that planet. That sounds like a good planet.
Right. I mean, when I was in college, I remember when I started college. Now I'm 100% Puerto Rican. Most people don't know that because I don't look it. But when I started college, my roommate had actually requested an ethnic roommate, and I didn't realize that. So, they put me with her for that reason, because they used to do that stuff back in the 80s, people. So, these girls were constantly asking me things like, well, what do you eat? And what do you do for Christmas? And I was like, what the hell are they talking about? Like, that was so foreign to me. I grew up in New York City. We were this huge melting pot of people. Yeah. So I'm like, it was like, suddenly I realized, I'm Puerto Rican. Okay. But I didn't label, that wasn't my thing. Like I still don't label people. So it's still kind of, I don't know. It still kind of blows me away. I'm like, I don't know where that came from, because trust me, my mother definitely has her labels for people. And I'm like, where the heck did I come from then? Like, why? Again, the mothership, funny. It's coming for me. I know it is.
Yeah. The mothership is coming. It is coming.
It's that programming, though. It's like the societal programming of like, you're this because you're this.
Yeah.
And you're
right.
And when you step out of that, you realize, oh my goodness, there's this freedom here.
Yeah.
And we're all humans, and we can connect with each other. That's one thing I love about when I was in my yoga teacher training, like just the really basics of like saying like namaste, right? Or connecting with the light in another person. As simple as that is everything. Right? Like just connecting with the light in another person. And there's, that light's kind of, it's dimmer or brighter sometimes in us and in others. And that just like searching for that, and not searching for I want them to, I can only hang out with people that look like this or act like that, or this person is so different than me because they're from this part of the world or whatever.
Right.
And like that common humanity, and the compassion that can come from that, like the true compassion, not the sympathy, not the like, I wonder, curiosity, but that true compassion can be fostered in writing too, because we start to, if you read a lot and you write a lot, you see that voices and stories replicate all over the world, across experiences.
Yeah.
We're all dealing with the same struggles. There's just different physical manifestations of it.
Yeah.
But the internal struggles are the same.
Yeah. And honestly, I think that's one of the ways social media has helped us, because we can see a lot more than we used to. Because, when I was in college, I just saw what was there, what was in front of me. Now we have like this whole global experience where we could see so many different people and different opinions. And, sometimes it's bad. And I think a lot of times it's also good.
Yeah. I think that finding the diversity in your access to, well, just reading, like you're saying, reading different stories. I find always, I work a lot with myth. And whether it's, I'm working in writing my curriculum or meditations. And so the old stories from different cultures always have such a, for me, just a beautiful, inspiring view of looking at something a little bit differently. How the Celtic people looked at it or how the Native Americans looked at it. And what I find, though, really is there's so much of a similar thread through all cultures and just seeing slightly different, which is kind of fun to watch and see and witness. That is that you've got culture on one side of the world and on the other side, and they're experiencing something very similar, maybe different words for it or a different kind of deeper meaning to it, but there's a common thread that connects those stories. And that always reminds me that we're never really separate if we follow the storylines of the different cultures. Yeah. Now we have 3 more minutes here on Insight Timer, and then we're going to move over to YouTube. And before, in these last 3 minutes, what would you leave Insight Timer viewers with?
I would say that whether you consider yourself a creative person, whether you consider yourself a writer or someone who processes that way, I think that there is great value in just getting quiet enough and creating the space, especially if you don't have the space to create the space. Creating the space to just listen to yourself, listen to your body, listen to your thoughts, whether you do that through meditation, through writing. Writing is a beautiful medium. If it resonates for you, it's fun experimenting with too, and it's not something that should pressure you. So I just say, remember that truth is in you, and tapping that energy helps you to connect with other energies that are aligned with you, and then you end up in beautiful rooms like here.
Yeah.
So,
Thank you, Jen. Violet, what do you leave everybody with, like in terms of?
Feel the fear and do it anyway, because that has motivated me through everything that I've done. Leaving my first husband, that was really scary for me because at the time I had stopped working to take care of my kids. So I was a full-time mom. I had to go out and get a job and start a new life, give up a house. And, in even being a teacher on Insight Timer, that's what I said to myself. I didn't want to be on camera. I didn't like it. And I wanted to push myself out of my comfort zone. I really wanted to, a lot of what I've done has been to prove to myself that I can do it. So I was like, feel the fear and do it anyway. If you fail, you fail. What's the worst that can happen? For me, fortunately, leaving my first husband was amazing. I started a whole new life, and I have a life that I love. And, again, with Insight Timer, I definitely found my voice here. I had to. I couldn't just go live with the camera off and type, which is what I like to do. I like to type. I don't like to talk. But, here I am. So do it anyway. That's what I like to leave people with.
Good for you. And there your dog.
He's out
giving
there.
You the confirmation.
Exactly. I'm going to mute myself so you can talk, Dakota.
Okay. I think what I would leave with is that it doesn't have to be perfect when you write. It doesn't have to be perfect. Grammar, punctuation, sentence structure, all of that goes out the window. And really, it's about just kind of tapping into that internal voice and giving it a place to come out and be true. I think that's the most important thing, is just to be true. I find, too, that when you write something and it moves you to tears, you've learned how to access a part of yourself that is very sacred. And that's a special place to be, for sure. All right, I am going to I have, believe it or not, so this, and they'll still be able to hear us, you guys, so just because it's changing. we're going to move over to YouTube. And my YouTube, God help me, it's not working. So go to Violet's YouTube channel. And over there, we're going to chat more about what we're doing in our personal lives and professional lives. And we might talk a bit more about how we're moving into bringing grace back to women and
radiating every word. Conversations where women are heard. Be real, be open-hearted, be authentic.
Maybe they couldn't hear you. I couldn't hear you. Did you say anything? Oh, you didn't. Okay.
I did. I'm just now hearing again. I didn't hear for a little bit.
Oh, okay. So over on YouTube, I think we'll share like kind of the projects that we're working on, and go to Violet hyphen 108, and you'll see the YouTube there. Violet, can you put that in there?
Yep.
I think you did. Yep. And we'll probably, YouTube is a place where we kind of take the guardrails off the conversation. And so who knows what we're going to talk about. But I also would like to, we'll do maybe a little writing exercise over there on YouTube.
Ooh, I like
Make it
that.
a little bit more interactive. Yeah. All right, you guys. So thank you for being here on Insight Timer. I know, Jen, you've got live coming up June 6th or 8th or something like that.
I do, yes. I'll try to drop that in the chat real quick here.
Yeah, and my next live will be on May 28th.
Which is my birthday,
I'll
by the
list
way.
what meditation I'm going to do. Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
Happy birthday. And then Violet, you don't have one until July,
I
I saw.
took off most of the summer. I took off all of June. I had originally taken off all of July, but then I added one for new teachers because, again, taking care of me, I felt like I was just doing a lot. And I was like, I want some breathing space in the summer.
Yeah, I hear you. All right. So, good, a somatic experience. We will see you guys over on YouTube. I do hope you come over there and chat with us and participate in an exercise and all the good stuff that we can't say here.
Yes. Join us.
All right. Yes. Thank you. We'll see you over there.
Okay.
Bye, everybody.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.
Good. I can close down another window now.
Awesome. Yeah, I think I cut out there for a little bit. I'm sorry, I might have missed some things there. But
Oh, no, you're fine. All right. So, and Violet, you're able to share my vMix setup, right? On YouTube?
Yes. On YouTube, it's exactly what you're sharing.
Okay. I'm going to actually log into your, I like to.
Yes.
Yeah.
And,
So
and
if you're on
there's,
YouTube right now, just hang out for a second.
okay.
and we can see chat over here as well.
Yeah.
YouTube 2 here.
Oh, there we are.
There we are. Okay.
All right.
Good.
It always throws me off on YouTube because it's got such a delay.
Yes, I know.
Lag.
I can't look at the screen because that throws me off. So I'm looking at us instead of over there.
Yes. You can change that in the settings.
The delay.
Oh,
Uh-huh.
Can you kill it completely? I didn't know if you could kill it completely or if you could just adjust. Okay. I'll have to play with that next time.
Yeah, you can kill it completely. All right. There we go. Hi, everyone. So if you're coming over here from Insight Timer, thanks for coming over here. And hopefully the audio and video looks a little bit better than it does on Insight Timer. I don't know.
Yeah, the video looks clear.
yeah, the video looks, pretty good.
Good. I have, all of a sudden, my 2 dogs and 3 cats have all come into my office. They're what are you doing, Mom? Why are you on the computer again?
Whoops.
So back to our discussions and bringing in conversations that just in writing, voice, all of it. How do you guys want this next hour to go?
That's a good
I love
question.
what we warmed up. You know,
What'd you say, Jen?
I love what we warmed up. I feel like, we got some really interesting concepts out about what writing means to us and how we are able to process and find our voices and be heard. And I think
Yeah.
for me, that being heard piece, there's even more there.
Yes.
I think it's a very difficult conversation right now politically.
Yes.
And I'll be honest with you all, if you don't mind me just kind of diving into this.
Please.
I was part of a women's leadership program that was one of many, 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 many that was recently targeted to be shut down because of political leanings. And it was a leadership program, and there are other programs out there that are quite similar. And also, grant funding that I used to apply for as a writer is now no longer available to me. This was funding I used to go to residencies to write books, because in my day-to-day life, I work a lot, and it's very, very hard for me to find time to work on a larger dedicated project like that.
Yeah.
So seeing resources actually being just pulled away here and there and from so many people, and especially the people that need them most. I mean, for me, those are things that I thought I was doing good in the world through these
Yeah.
avenues, and now I have to try harder to do that same good. And so for
Yeah.
me, I would love to know from you two, like, how do we deal with this, friends? Because now that we're like off the, we're no holds barred now. How do we work and go deep in our writing, in our soul work, in our dharma, and sharing as teachers and helping people to share when it,
Yeah.
quite frankly, does feel a little dangerous, because it feels
It
that
does.
you're visible, people will take you down, or at
Yeah.
least attempt to.
Yeah. There's a real fear in that, especially in the climate today with the political stuff going on. And I was trying to have this conversation with my niece because she's 19. She doesn't understand why I had to leave Ohio.
Mhm.
And as a gay woman, as a Democrat, as being very visible online,
Yeah.
it puts a target on my back.
Yeah.
And because I have one of those personalities where I call it like I see it. If it's bullshit, I'll call bullshit. And I kind of touched on that in Insight Timer. It's like I don't separate Dakota into these compartments. Here's public Dakota and here's personal Dakota. I mean, there's obviously some things that I keep to myself, but in today's climate, it feels very scary to, quite frankly, be on a YouTube live
Yeah.
where anybody can be watching
Yeah.
and take my words and misconstrue it or put a label on my back. Because it's not just about, anybody can call me whatever they want. They can call me a bitch. They can call me whatever they want. I don't care.
Yeah.
But if they come knocking at my door, I do.
Yeah.
And I just watched a video of a woman who's gay and had posted some things on her Substack, and the FBI showed up at her doorstep.
Wow.
Wow.
And it was primarily because she was pro-trans. And so it feels different now. It feels more, you got warriors on the forefront who are doing the political activism and things like that.
Yeah.
But you also have those of us who are trying to hold these spaces for people to be in, to feel safe, to feel community, to feel connection. And like there is not this overwhelming fear that overtakes so many people. And we're the kind of people who create those spaces.
Yeah. Yeah.
And while I always want to continue to do that, I'm always aware that that is putting something on my back. It's kind of like what you're writing about, Jim, with your new book you're coming out with.
Yeah.
That woman who doesn't have a story that's really remembered, but had to be probably in so many circles, had to be vocal despite the fear.
Yes. Yes. Yeah, exactly why I picked her. She's so I'm how do you do it? Like it's the question I just asked you, and I was asking her while writing this
Yeah.
book. Like, how
Yeah.
do you do it? And she had a hard time, but
Mm-hmm.
I feel like, to be honest, from what I know of Victoria Woodhull, I don't know how much you all know about her, but she was a spiritualist. So in the late 1800s, this was essentially a way of embracing the idea that there's a thin realm and we could connect with those who
Yeah.
have deceased. And so, it wasn't completely unpopular or, but it was something that was not maybe the mainstream way of thinking.
Yeah.
And she, I believe from like investigating into her story, and I've looked at abolitionists, I've looked at, suffragists, I've looked at all of these people who have kind of had to tell the story authentically in impossible times. And the one thing that I'm seeing is that while their beliefs were different, there was not one set of beliefs that they shared.
Yeah.
They had a strong reliance on something greater than themselves. So that
Mm-hmm.
was their spiritual beliefs, that was their unwavering dedication to the cause itself or to people who represented what that
Yeah.
freedom would look like. And they quite frankly, I think in many ways were willing to put themselves on the line to do
Mm-hmm.
that. And it's like, how do you find the courage for that? And where are our lines? Because we are human and there are people that we love and care about and we want to be here for. And there, it's a tricky thing, but I do think that her story made me realize that you can, and so many stories, other than hers have made me realize that you can do the impossible. We can show
Yeah.
up as ourselves, but we do have to be smart. And we have to
Right.
surround ourselves with people who are going to fill our cup as much as we are filling theirs so that we have the energy to keep going, especially as teachers and healers.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know, Violet, what do you think?
It's a huge topic. I work for an organization that provides healthcare to an underserved population, and a lot of them are undocumented. So, besides the cuts and the politics, I mean, this whole climate has hit us really hard. And it's scary. Like, we see people no longer coming back for medical care, because they're afraid. They don't want to be out there. They don't want to be found. And I honestly, Jen, I don't know. It's like, I don't know how to deal with it. I have a sister who's always protesting too. She's always out there with her signs and she goes to these protests and I'm terrified for her. You're talking about how do people find the courage to do that? Honestly, I don't know because I don't know that I could. I hear her going out to these things and I'm like, please be careful, especially after what happened in Minnesota. I'm like, please be careful because I could see her throwing herself or her car in front of somebody doing something like that. And I find it terrifying, absolutely terrifying. So I don't know. I don't know how we deal with that. I mean, other than doing what we do, right? Holding space for people. But, there's times when I'm like, I wish we could do more. I just don't know how.
I do think showing up though and having these conversations is big, and listening to these conversations being held in different circles is huge. That is a a way of doing what your sister's doing.
Yeah.
Think. You know what I mean? In a different way. You're sharing your gifts and what your version of that is. And
Hmm.
yeah, so I do think that I don't know. I do think that the fear is legitimate, I guess is the thing that I was
Yeah.
saying. And
Yeah.
I think at the same time, um, our silence is feeding
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
ability to suppress us. So it's this weird kind of give and take situation where we have to figure out, okay, how do we not be silenced completely? And I think part of that, I think writing is very powerful for that because it helps us to kind of think about,
Hmm.
okay, what could this actually look like for me? How can I write my own story in the environment that I'm in?
Right.
You know,
Yeah.
and sometimes, I mean, that means moving, it means like changing jobs or whatever. But yeah, I've just been thinking about that nonstop. So thank you for your insights. I feel like,
I
yeah.
feel like there's the one thing I've been kind of maybe aware of more lately is that the amount of women who are coming together that
Yeah.
normally wouldn't, and
Yes.
having each other's back, really. Kind of like when, not to toot my horn or anything, but it's when you see something unjust, like on Substack when I saw that comment that man made to that woman. I don't know that woman from Adam. I've never met her.
Yeah.
But it's having her back.
Yep.
Yes.
It's having your back. It's people having my back. And that, I think, is important for us as a community to be able to offer that to each other, even
Right.
if indirectly, like not just the people you know.
Yeah.
But when you see something, and I kind of go back to this, and it's been mentioned several times, whenever that orange thing in our whatever man, the
Yes.
orange man, berates the reporters who are of color or are women,
Yeah.
and not one other male reporter stands in
Yeah.
and says, hey, that's not right.
Yeah.
And that's where I think we need to kind of step that up, either not just women, but people in general.
Right. And even
Grow
if it's just to
backbone, stand
one
up for each
person,
other.
right? Like, I mean, we don't, maybe I'm not out there with a sign like my sister protesting against, with all these people, but even if it's just one person, I was at my son's house maybe last year, and my daughter-in-law's best friend, who I've known for years, was there, and she made a comment about somebody working hard like a Mexican. And I felt the heat rising in my body. And I wasn't going to say anything because I'm like, it's not my house. It's her best friend. I've known her. And then I was like, no, you know what, Violet, speak up. And I was like, Jen, that was really, her name is Jen, by the way, Jen. I'm like, no, Jen. I said, that was really rude. And I said, and you do know that I'm Puerto Rican, right? Maybe I'm not Mexican, but I can still feel what you're saying with that negative connotation. And I think that's really rude. And she's like, oh, but you're not Mexican. And I'm like, I don't give a shit what I'm not. Like that was not acceptable. And I don't want to hear that kind of crap because she kept talking. I was like, maybe she'll stop. I'm like waiting for this. And then I was like, no, I got to stop her. So I did. I stopped her.
Yeah.
It was uncomfortable. It was hard. But even if you just do it to one person, just correct one person. Sometimes I do it with my husband. We're very different politically. And these conversations between he and I are hard sometimes. But I think, I'll listen to what he's got to say, but I want him to hear what I've got to say and how I feel. And maybe it will broaden their perspective a little, and that's the best you can do, then do it.
Yeah. 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 I feel like also just sharing each other's stories too.
Yeah.
And, and being, this is one thing that's always pissed me off really, is that women can be really mean to each other in the past and very jealous and all this stuff. And I'm like, there's enough out there for all of us. Like, I want to celebrate that Jen's having a new book coming out and that
Yeah.
Violet's got these classes going on in the writing area and Insight Timer and all of that. Why wouldn't you want to be celebrating someone?
Yeah.
And yet there's this feeling of, oh, no, 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 don't do that because whatever.
There's only so much for you. You know, you have to just
Exactly.
prep for it and fight for it. And yes,
And for
but
me,
it's a myth.
Yeah.
I would say for me, comparison too is hard because sometimes I'm like, oh my God, she's doing so much better than I am. I should be doing that, right? And it's hard
Yeah.
to step back and say, you know, it's okay. There's enough for all of us. You know, she's doing her
Yeah.
thing. I'm doing, you know, like with my sister, I compare myself. Oh, look at what she's doing and what a success she's made out of her life. And, you know, it took me a long time to realize that it was okay to feel, you know, supportive of some. I mean, my sister, it was easy because she's my sister. I've always been supportive of her. But I think about other friends or women who've come through my life where I felt like, well, how come they got that? Or how come they, you know, and it's a process of reminding myself it's okay. There's
Yeah.
enough, you know, there's enough for all of us.
Yeah. Yeah, there is. Yeah. You know what, combining this with writing, I keep saying this, I've been saying this for a year. What I want to create more than anything. Oh, do you remember in the 1920s on the left bank in Paris, the women, writers like Colette and Virginia Woolf and all these different writers, they had what was called salons. Are you familiar with this
No.
concept?
I'm not.
Okay. So, and not just women, it was men too. So Picasso was part of it. But what they would do is all these different creators would come together and they would meet in each other's living rooms, different living room each time, and they called them salons. And they would share their current works that they were working on. And when somebody was sharing, everybody who was there in attendance would listen deeply. No interruptions, no anything. And at the end, they do the clap, not the clap, the snap. And but the whole concept was to celebrate each other in your creative craft. And if you wanted feedback, then the others who were in attendance could say, you know, this is what I felt. This is where it moved me. This is what maybe it could have done a little bit differently. Anyway, what I really have wanted to do, and I've started to kind of create through AI, making these images of their actual living room. So I've got Colette and I've got Virginia Woolf done already.
Oh,
And I want to do a virtual monthly salon
Oh, I love that.
where creators come together. And it's kind of like an open mic. I do open mic right now on Soulfire, but in the salon we would do like I want to do like an all-day event where you have writing workshops throughout the day and different creativity, and then sometimes you'd go out and you'd do whatever you on your own, and then at the end of the evening we'd come together in the salon and you would share and have it be kind of a for them it was more feeding the community with what you have.
yes.
And that richness of diversity, but also that collaboration that happens in a space like that. Oh my gosh, I want to do that so badly. And I create immersive experiences. So I'm working on the right music and all the different like little sounds that you would have in that person's living room. My favorite living room I've made so far is Colette, because she's very sensual.
Yes.
And it's like the red velvet couches and the dark, dim lighting and all of that. I think that's something that we miss in our world today, are those kind of spaces, the creative spaces that allow you just to not only express, but to be supported by others who are also doing that. So you two will have to come to my first salon. when I do it.
Absolutely.
I
Yeah.
am there.
As you started explaining it,
Yeah. I have so many things going on in the fire right now. So
Yeah.
it's one of those things that's it's right there. It's almost done, but
Yeah.
sitting there on the edge.
It's beautiful.
Yeah. So I don't know. I think there's in creating those kind of spaces more so for people right now, I think is such a gift, really, to be able to do all of that. Scarlett, what are you writing? Oh my gosh.
Oh my God. A protester ran her car into people at a karaoke bar with their car and ended up running over my friend, killing him. Driver said she was keeping her friends safe from gay patrons. Oh my goodness. That's
Wow.
horrible.
Yeah.
To hear that.
There's so many crazy things happening in the world. And
It's scary.
every time I hear something like that, it's just, yeah, it's like we need these more places like this.
Yeah.
I love this inclination, Dakota, though, because I mean the immersive experience combined with that kind of workshop and like the salon, it sounds so beautiful. I'm so excited about this.
Yeah.
And I
Good,
I
good.
want to put in request. Are you taking requests for certain authors?
Yeah. Well,
Okay.
actually, I will have there's only going to be, I'm thinking maybe 12 people at most at any one given salon,
Okay.
because that intimacy is what they were able to capture there in the 1920s. And
Yeah.
yeah, I
like
really. So yeah, you can put your request in. You can be
okay. All right.
number one on the first salon that I do.
I love it.
But it's the conversations too that I think that become meaningful are the ones where we take off that mask.
Yep.
What mask do you guys feel like you wear that you're tired of?
I can answer that easily, actually. I'm
Go for it.
tired of like always being okay. I have very great practices and I'm so lucky to be surrounded by beautiful humans. I have my family of friends and I'm very, very grateful for all of that.
Hmm.
But even with the people that I love and care about and know I can trust and I know will support me, I still have this lingering, just automatic sense that I need to act like I'm fine, even if I have a migraine, even if I'm
Yeah.
it's just completely done. Like I just can't have nothing left in me. And then,
Hmm.
I still show up and I'm not my full self.
Yeah.
I'm half in body. And if I'm only going to be half in body, I need to stay home. And I'm working
Yeah.
on it. So that's one thing I'm having trouble letting go of is, just trying to keep everyone else happy
Yeah.
by showing up and doing the thing I said I'm going to do no matter what.
Right.
So yeah.
Yeah. I can
Yeah.
resonate with that.
That's a big one.
Yeah. My mask is the fixer. I'm always fixing, for my kids, for my husband, for my friends. If you've got a problem, bring it to me and, I'll figure out how to fix it. And I think up until a couple of years ago, and this was through therapy, I had to find a way to stop that. It was almost like I felt like if I could fix something for you, that made me useful. That excuse me, gave me validation. And I've come to realize that it's not my job. It's not my job to fix everybody, even for my kids, and they're adults now and I adore them and they know I'll do anything for them. But as soon as one of them has a problem, okay, let me fix it. Let me figure it out. Let me stress over it so that you can sleep. And I finally am at the point where I'm like, I've got to stop doing that. I've got to let people make their own mistakes, whether it be my son or my husband or whoever, or my mother, who's another one who I've been fixing my whole life. So that's a whole other session. Won't get into that one. But, I've had to, it's like putting the phone on mute, like literally. I've literally had to mute these other people and these problems and been like, no, I'm not. And I have friends who do it to me. It's almost like I feel like I had this sign that said, if you've got a problem, call me or text me or whatever. And now I'm like, I'm not responding. I'm, out of office is my new sign.
Yeah. I like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. I this past weekend I went out to Colorado, and I was with three of my friends and my wife, and we did a plant medicine retreat. And I didn't realize how much I needed this one particular thing that happened. Was I was really struggling with the duality that I live. Like, it's not even really duality, but it's the teacher hat. And I quite literally have a hat. It's a brown felt Stetson hat that I wear whenever I go out on a medicine walk, and a lot of times when I'm teaching live. And that hat for me is kind of like, it's a comfort. It's like almost like a uniform.
Yeah.
But one of the things that came up for me at the retreat that surprised me was that I'm tired of being the teacher.
Wow.
And there came a point where I saw all these things kind of happening and moving in my head. And I heard this voice say, it's okay to take the hat off. And I actually literally took the hat off, and I
Wow.
placed it on the floor, and I gave myself permission to take the hat off whenever I needed to. And just that very act was like, oh, thank you.
Yeah.
Because I don't know what you guys feel, but in this position, and I see this most readily when I do in-person retreats, is you see all the bonds happening with the participants.
Yes.
They're all talking, and they're having these beautiful moments and stuff. And even online, it happens where, and I've noticed this, that if I want my students to really dig into the conversation, I have to leave the room.
Yeah.
I have to like disengage and not be present there, because they're more apt to talk deeper with each other than when I'm there. Because when I'm there, they expect it to be like this hierarchy, teacher, student, whatever.
Yeah.
And it's freeing to be able to say, I don't have to be that all the time. Because I
Yes.
miss having the conversations. I miss having the connections with others. And it's to no fault of their own. It's just the way that it is when you have that hierarchy. But yeah, I miss being the participant too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know.
That gives me another idea for us, which might be, I think Violet, you're already doing it, but just getting teachers together, and maybe even, offline here and there too, just to support each
Mhm.
other,
Yes.
like a little circle of support. Because
Yeah.
I've found that too. It can be very lonely to be a teacher. I mean, I teach
Yeah.
college, and then I teach, through Insight, and yeah, there's a separation there. No matter how connected you are with your students, there's always a subtle power dynamic there that's just embedded in the teacher-student relationship, which is
Yeah.
why, yeah, and being a student is so fun too, isn't
Yeah.
it?
It
Yeah.
is.
Yeah.
It is. Yeah. You get to just kind of sit back and, I
Yeah.
don't know, absorb and be.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
feel like some of us though, like we have to take the hat off sometimes,
Yeah.
but we're always kind of gonna teach in one way, shape, or form. But sometimes it's just like we need to take a step back and give ourselves something. Like, but I don't know if I can ever not teach, like I just
Yeah.
remember when I was a kid, I was 8 years old, I would learn something about grasshoppers, and I would tell every single adult I knew of that little detail about grasshoppers. And like I just couldn't not, like I was just teaching because I'm like, I can't keep this to myself. I need the whole world to
Exactly.
know. Like, so I feel like some of us are kind of like programmed that way, but then we can like do it so much. It's like, oh wait, but my cup is empty.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah. And that's
I
interesting
would
because
actually pose that question to.
go ahead.
No, go ahead.
I was gonna say, I never
No,
think
you.
of myself as a teacher. I don't know. It's so weird. Like I don't think of myself as a teacher. Like I used to call myself a facilitator when I was doing anything. teaching related. And yeah, I'm not sure why that is. When you were saying that, it just was like, it made me think, like, why don't I think of myself as a teacher? I don't know.
Yeah, that is interesting.
Yeah. Yeah.
Do you think, though, that is that maybe something you've not allowed yourself to embrace?
It's possible. Maybe I always thought that somebody else knew more than me, so I wasn't a teacher. And that is actually part of why I wanted to be a teacher on Insight Timer, because I saw all these teachers and I was like, well, I could do that too. Like, why can't I? You know, like, why do I think I can't? So yeah.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I have a question for you both about teachers. Was there a teacher that really impacted you, either like through writing, through spirituality, or that I
Oh.
don't know, just kind of changed the course for you? Either official
So
or
many.
unofficial. I
I was
know.
going to say so many. I mean, I think back to
At
high
different
school.
stages in life, too.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think that there's teachers for different areas of life, but some of my mentors just in the shamanic world, I wouldn't be the same without them. Like George Pooley, he was a Hopi medicine man. He was the one that I worked most closely with, and the things I learned from him, I use most every day.
Wow.
But it was more his personality, his love for me and my love for him that moved me the most, because and the irony was that I was his massage therapy teacher, and he became my shamanic teacher. So we were both in that role for each other, which was a very interesting dynamic to have.
So if we're being honest, I have to tell you, one of the things I've learned being a teacher on Insight Timer is that teachers are normal people too. I used to put them on these pedestals, right? Like, I couldn't do what they do. They're all so amazing and gifted and talented. And then I became a teacher and I got to know them. And I was like, oh, hey, they're normal people just like me. So maybe we're all teachers. Maybe that was part of my own growth, needing to not put people on pedestals, like the whole don't get to know your idols thing. And I don't mean it in a negative way. Some of it might be, but it changed my whole opinion of who, we talk about gurus and who people look up to. And I'm like, yeah, we're all teachers, and we should all listen to, again, go back to your voice, to your own voice. Cause I was listening to a lot of other people and not myself, because I thought they knew better. And then I was like, oh, they don't know anything more than I do. We're all our own teachers too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. How about you, Jen?
I think as a woman and a young girl, especially, and as a woman surrounded by mostly men in my workplace, I think that it's really easy to kind of sometimes not trust that, we have the answer, or, and so I just appreciate like you saying that, like everybody's normal, like no matter how many letters you have after your name,
Right.
or how many research papers you have, about whatever it is, how many people like your meditation or whatever it is, like it's like we are all on this journey, and we're all learning from each other. But I will say, I had a lot of anxiety when I was younger, and there were a few teachers all the way back to elementary school who, Mr. Leonardo, I just remember he looked like Santa Claus without the beard. Like that was his vibes, and he was just so warm and welcoming, and he would have the students sit in a circle, which made me feel so much more a part of something than the typical kind of classroom that we were in other classes. And I remember that he knew how afraid I was just to like speak up and this kind of thing, and so he would always just kind of like pull me to the side and just ask me how my day was, and just give me a little bit of space there to talk. and to get used to my own voice in a public place. And I was
Yeah.
like, this is like, I looking back, I'm just like, how kind and how, and this guy is, he'll never leave me. You know, his influence
Yeah.
will
Yeah.
never leave me. And he probably didn't really think about me. I mean, he was kind to every student. He probably had hundreds of thousands of students, you know. Maybe he remembers the weird little redheaded girl. I don't know, but I kind of doubt it. You know, it's been a while. And so yeah, I think all the way back there. But when I think about writing, I also had a high school English teacher who just it was just a passion, the passion that they
Yeah.
did that made me feel like, wow, this is something that's kind of cool. And I still wasn't completely bought in, but I was really, really listening because I was like, this is really, this person is really finding like this magic in these stories.
Hmm.
They're pulling at these stories and they're finding like truths about the human experience. Like, this is so interesting. I mean, I like to read, but I've never thought about it like this. I've never thought that I had a voice on the page. And so it was fun to
Yeah.
just play. And I think
Yeah.
there, like that kind of led to, you know, my trajectory. I love, I mean, and like you said too, Dakota, there's so many different examples. I mean, we could pull in like, you know, friends
Yeah.
taught me things and the teachers that, you know, the lessons that we've learned that have been
Yeah.
teachers that we haven't thoroughly loved, but maybe really made us who we are, that kind of thing. So
You know who my favorite teachers are? My students.
Mm.
absolutely.
Oh my God, I learned so much from them, and just the bravery
Yes.
and the willingness.
Yeah.
It's just astounding to me. It's like sometimes have the experience of being able to watch one of my students really break through something, and I just am like, oh, how did you do that? I want to be able to do it that way. I love the dynamic of watching somebody go through hard stuff
Yeah.
and come out the other side.
Yeah.
So inspiring.
I taught a computer course at a local community college a couple of years ago. And I remember this one student, she was always struggling. So I would sit next to her and I would explain stuff to her like over and over again. And I always say I'm not a patient person, but clearly I am because I was able to do that. And I remember her saying to me one day, she says, you know, you're the first teacher that has ever spent so much time with me and made me feel like I'm not stupid. And I was like I couldn't imagine that the other
Wow.
teachers were not doing that. And I was like, wow, like that was, you know, that meant a lot to me because I thought, wow, if I could do
Yeah.
this for her, for again, one person, you know, that matters. She will not forget that. And, you know, she kept trying. And Onyx is barking. And is that
No,
my
it's
dog
my
or yours?
dog.
Oh, I heard it
It's
and I was like,
mine.
is it mine? But,
It's past their dinner time.
trouble.
Yeah.
And Jen, you were
I am
talking
in
about your
trouble.
English teacher. My high school English teacher always sticks out in my mind too. Maybe it's something about those English teachers. But I remember she had written in my yearbook, you have the potential, I think, to do great things. And I was like, I think? Like, what kind of half-assed comments praise was that? Like, maybe I have the potential, but I'm not really using it. And even though it rubbed me the wrong way, I never forgot it. And I never stopped pushing myself because I don't ever want anybody to say, oh, I think you have potential, but you're not showing it. So,
Oh,
yeah.
wow.
That's
Yeah.
wow.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah, it was
You
a
know,
good-
I just have to add a little story really quickly because I went to grad school for English, and I as a high school dropout, I was very out of place, and I wasn't sure that I would ever pay off the student loans, all the things, right? I felt very out
Mhm.
of place. I was there with very, you know, wealthy for the most part participants, and my second teacher that I worked with on my master's degree said, Jen, how did you even get in here?
wow.
Oh,
Like, this is how I will never, ever treat someone.
Yes.
yeah.
That was a teaching moment. Like, how did you ever get in here? She didn't even offer any because she was saying that my writing was not to snuff, right?
Wow.
Which I wasn't, to be honest. Like, it probably wasn't as polished as most of the other students because I didn't have the same educational background.
Right.
But I remember
Uh-huh.
I was like, I can respond to this in different ways. I can let this just like be the gut punch and just stay hunched over. Or
Yeah.
I could say, this is an example of what I'm going to learn from and never, never.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, there's those kind of teachers too.
Yeah, there are those kind of teachers. Wow. Yeah, that's
I
something.
want to read a question that someone wrote here. They said, if some consider you more of a mentor, are you still wearing the same teacher hat or does it hold a different weight? That's a good question. I think for me, being considered a mentor is not as, maybe it doesn't hold the same kind of pressure because, when you say you're a teacher, you've committed yourself to teaching. When you say you're a mentor, it's like, well, this is what I'm doing. And if you want to follow what I'm doing, that's okay. And if not, that's okay too. So that's how I feel about that. What do the two of you think about that?
I feel like to me, they're interchangeable. Like they're one and the same. It's teacher, mentor, it's the same kind of thing. I don't know that there's really a difference for me.
Yeah, I think it depends. I will say sometimes roles kind of matter, like what we were talking about before. And just as an example, one of my very best friends right now is one of my old students. And I will
Oh,
say that like our relationship has changed through many different sort of, I don't know, it's gone through many iterations. So at first,
yeah.
I was his teacher, and then I was kind of more of a mentor. And then
Mm-hmm.
as he's kind of like progressed and progressed, now we're just buds. And like he's probably gonna not answer the phone when I ask him to help me move, but he's gonna no, he probably will. But no, he's just a good human, and we connect here and there, and we're legitimately good friends. And so I think sometimes like for me when I think of mentorship, I think about it as just maybe less formal, but he's still teaching. And
Mm-hmm.
it's kind of oftentimes, I think, a transitional role. So if you're someone's mentor, I don't think the goal is to be their mentor forever, because the whole goal is to help them uplift themselves so
Yeah.
that you don't need to like rely on you anymore.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah, interesting. Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
I think I sometimes take things very literally. So the teacher title for me comes with a lot of stress. Whereas the mentor, I'm like, it's okay. A mentor, it's like my job on Insight Timer. I could take it or leave it. I've got another job. So yeah, interesting.
Yeah. Yeah, that is interesting. So I have, before we finish up here, some prompts that I think would be kind of fun to offer our listeners here. And what do you guys feel about doing like I hate pressure, but sometimes under pressure you get your head out of it?
Yeah.
I'm going to read off prompts for everybody. So get your pen and paper out.
Okay.
And what do you think, Jen? You do a timer. So let's say like 45 seconds for each prompt.
I think that's great because it'll give starters, if nothing else.
Yeah.
If we just get a
Yes.
couple words on the page. I like it.
Yeah. So don't feel like you have to do a whole sentence. And because I'm going to read off the prompts, I'm not going to actually do the prompts because that'll mess my head up. And I don't even have a watch. Oh, here I do have a clock. Okay. Let me get my watch, my stopwatch. Okay. Oh, that didn't work. Actually, we'll do 1 minute because that's a little easier for me to figure out. No, I'm going to do. I just heard very Dakota. Take the extra step. 45 seconds it is. Okay, your first prompt is the lie I am done living by is. Go. The lie I am done living by is. and stop. And your next prompt is the part of me I was told was too much is. If you need that repeated, the part of me I was told was too much is. And stop. We're going to do 2 more prompts. My rage is protecting. My rage is protecting. And stop. And your next one and final one, the word I am reclaiming is. And stop. Okay. So, Jen, how would each of us give an idea of what they can do with these 4 prompts going forward? What would be your idea for them?
So there's so much that we can do here. So I would say just by answering the question, you can take what you're starting to explore and think about a scene in your life that represents how you answer that question and start to tell that story. That could be a story, that could be an essay, that could be something that would maybe even turn into fiction so that you can have fun with it and play with it, you know. The other thing that I was thinking while I was writing this is that when Dakota, you were repeating the question, I was feeling like, the cadence of that is so beautiful. That could be a poem. So the word I am reclaiming is, you could continue to answer that with different stanzas in a beautiful,
Yes.
you can do that for almost any of these, which would be
Yeah,
really beautiful.
that
So that
would
would be my
be.
advice. I love
Love
that.
it. Love it. Violet, what would you suggest? How could they
Wow.
work with these prompts going forward?
Yeah, I was going to say mine
Nothing like
was,
putting you guys on the spot.
yeah, exactly, right? Mine was the total opposite, Jen. I wasn't thinking that. I was just, that talk about stream of consciousness, just whatever comes out, just put it out on that piece of paper and don't read it, don't think about it, maybe go back another time and think it through or edit. I'm trying not to edit myself. I tend to edit myself a lot.
Yeah.
So that's my suggestion. Don't edit yourself.
Yeah, good.
What
I
word
would say,
reclaiming? I was just curious what word you each are reclaiming. Like, what would you reclaim?
For me, it was lack mentality because I grew up, with parents that had nothing And I think that throughout my life, I kind of had this, like, don't expect too much, don't want too much. And as I got older and, I decided to go back and get my master's degree when I was 50, and suddenly I had a job where my salary doubled, and I was almost afraid that I was going to lose all that. I still am, especially now with the politics. I'm always afraid that I'm going to lose all that. And the other day I was thinking about it and I said, let go of that lack mentality, that what you have somehow you don't deserve or you're not going to be able to keep. Because, I see somebody has a bigger house or a nicer kitchen, and I'm like, well, I would like a little house, but not quite that big. Why not want it big? Let go of that lack mentality. So that's what I'm reclaiming, is that lack mentality. I'm not gonna let myself do that. What was yours, Dakota? What was yours?
I didn't really do it with you guys because I was focused on the timer. But
True.
if I were to answer it quickly, I am reclaiming the words, it's okay. Just that, giving myself permission for those moments that I mess up or say the wrong thing or do the wrong thing or don't do the right thing, that it's okay. Like even the start of our call, all that tech is stuff.
Yeah.
It's okay.
It's okay.
We made it here. We're all here. Everybody can hear us. It's okay.
And Jen,
So that's what I'm reclaiming.
I just realized I answered the wrong question. I was reading number 1. You were addressing number 4. So number 4 for me, the
But
word
you know
is
what?
it's okay.
It's okay.
It's okay.
It's okay.
I just looked down and I'm like, wait, I answered the wrong question. I was thinking about number 1.
It's okay.
It's okay. Number 1 needed to come out.
Yes, it did.
I love
What are you reclaiming, Jen?
joy, because there's a lot of heaviness, and I think that it's a beautiful rebellion to allow ourselves space to feel joy,
Yeah.
especially
Yeah.
for me. And so I'm and that's honestly not easy for me because I'm like, oh no, I gotta be, contemplating everything and
Yeah.
like, giving back all the time. But I am going to allow myself joy, laughter, companionship,
Yeah.
connection with beautiful women like yourselves and other people in the world that, are that feed my soul. So yeah.
Yeah.
And Jen, I don't
Beautiful.
know
Love it.
about you, but when you think, because joy was my word last year, when you think about it too, like I do you feel guilty? Like sometimes I feel guilty. I'm like, I live in this great house. I have this great salary, and I see people out there struggling, and I'm like, should I be feeling joy while other people are suffering? Like that's a really hard thing right now in the climate that we're living in, right? There's people who are suffering.
Yeah, but we need joy.
Yes, we do. I agree. I agree completely. I think about Abraham Hicks all the time. She says, you can't suffer enough to make things better for other people. And I'm like, that's so true.
Right.
But, right? Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And sometimes that
struggle
becomes a
with it.
beacon.
Yeah.
Yeah. Exactly. A beacon. Exactly. That's, and I think like if I saw someone like myself doing well and finding joy when I was like 19 and very, very down and out, I think that would have inspired me. So
Yeah.
you doing well for you inspires other young women
Mm-hmm.
in the world. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I think if I were to suggest something for people with these 4 prompts, one would be taking different ages of yourself. Like I would say for maybe my 8-year-old answers, the lie I'm done living by is. And my 22-year-old would answer the question, the part of me I was told was too much is. And the 40-year-old would be the rage is protecting. And then me today, the word I am reclaiming is, and kind of go through your life view of those different aspects of yourself, because we carry all of those ages within us anyway. And sometimes we're responding to life from those ages, or however those ages might fit into those questions. But just exploring it a little bit more.
I adore that, especially because we see all these cycles in our lifetime and it's like our lives are this really interesting little puzzle. And when we look at
Mm-hmm.
that, we start to see the patterns and we start
Yeah.
to see what the
Yeah.
journey is, the larger journey. And
The
yeah.
larger journey. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. And it's
And pulling
interesting.
those stories forward.
Yeah.
Good.
I was going to say, and I think about who I was in my 30s. Like I don't even know her sometimes. I think the crap that she put up with from that first husband, I would never put up with now. You know, my current husband knows that
Yeah.
too. So it's like, wow, I can't like sometimes I can't even believe that was me. You know, it's like that was another person. And I thank her for her service and for helping me be who I am today. But it's like I would have never at this point in my life would have never put up with the stuff that she put up with back then.
Yeah, absolutely. That's a mark of real progress too.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, you guys, we are almost at that witching hour of 8 o'clock Eastern time. So let's each kind of go through what we have going on so that others can maybe find us and participate, or at the very least, leave them with something, a little nugget of you. Violet, you want to start?
Sure. Like I said, I'm taking most of the summer off. And Tuesday, I'm heading to Maine for my week-long birthday celebration with my husband and my rescue pup, who was also born on my birthday. He'll be 3. And I think other than the monthly stuff I'm doing with Dakota, I'm pretty much, taking it easy.
Yeah, good.
Yeah.
Good.
What do you have, Jen?
That's needed.
Yeah, absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I'm on Substack, as are Violet and Dakota, and it's a really nice place to be along with Insight Timer right now. And so I would love to connect with folks there. My Substack is The Resilient Creative, or www.jennox.net. We actually have to put the www in there for some reason. I don't know what that's about, but other than that, I'm gonna keep working on this Victoria Woodhull book. It's coming in December, but I don't have a cover yet, so I'm not really to the promotional stage. But I will post it on my Substack, and of course, Insight Timer. Starting to finally get the hang of putting videos on there. I do not have the skills of these two ladies. I'm like, wait a minute, how do I set my phone up so that I'm like I'm having trouble. But I got like 2 of the videos up at this point, and they're okay. Like the quality is okay. And the content is good.
Good.
And Jen's link is also in the description.
I was going to say, in the description, maybe we can put our Substacks, our Insight Timer, and our websites for each person.
Okay.
That would be good. Not to put more work on you, Violet.
No, that's okay. I think I have right now the link, and maybe like if you had a YouTube page, I might have linked up that. But yeah, I can easily add other links. Not a problem.
Okay. Well, I have, let's see, today opened up Sovereign Ritual, and it's not too late for anybody to join.
I joined, but I missed today. Yes, I'm gonna hear the replay.
It's okay.
Is there a replay?
Well, it's a passive live.
Because I did download the MP3s.
Yeah, every 3 days you're opening up a new goddess, and there's a song that I've written for it and a ritual. And you'll get an email that gives you a little bit more information and also a daily integration seed. And then at the end of the 27 days in June, we'll do a closing ceremony for all those who are in the live pod. And so you can join at any time. You don't have to do all the rituals, but it's 9 different goddesses, 9 songs, 9 reclamations. It's all about women's leadership and coming into our sovereignty as women. So that I have going on. And then I'm actually going to start doing some more YouTube lives. So I'm going to try to plan one for early next week.
Excellent.
And so I can, get, what's funny You know why I couldn't get the live to work on YouTube?
Why?
You guys will all laugh at me. I forgot to hit start.
Oh no.
It was that fucking simple.
That's funny.
Oh, yeah, it's
story of my life.
hilarious. It's
Yeah.
hilarious. And then in June, I'll be opening up the Dawn arc of the Wheel of the Kaliak.
Ooh.
And it's a year-long mentorship, but you can join
Wow.
for either a season or the whole year. And that also is a women's leadership spiritual course. So excited about that one.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Well, I've been doing it. That'll be our third arc that we're in.
Wow.
There's 4 arcs total. But yeah, it's a pretty deep process.
You have a lot of stuff going
But,
on.
Yeah.
I do. And I do have a live coming up May 28th on Insight Timer. And I think actually I might start, if I work this right, I'll be streaming on Insight Timer and YouTube at the same time.
Good.
Ooh, yes.
I'm gonna start cross-pollinating.
Yes.
So yeah, I've not done a lot on my YouTube channel in the last year or so. And I want to get back into doing that so that I have, I'm big on having your own platform
Yeah.
as much as
Yes.
possible.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I'll probably do something on like what we do here, start on Insight Timer and then finish up on YouTube.
Love it.
Excellent.
But yeah, and we don't have a date set yet for our next R.O.A.R, but we will. And so you can always check in on Insight Timer or on my website, or if you're a part of Soulfire community, which is free if anybody wants to come join Soulfire, we have all the events there as well. So yeah, we got that going.
All right.
right. Thank you, everyone, and for all the comments here in our chats and just being supportive of us up here, just sharing our lives and our journey. So glad that we have an audience that is interested. And yeah, thank you. And thank you, Jen and Violet, for great conversation. I feel like we could go all night.
I know.
I feel like
I
we could.
know.
This was awesome. Thank you.
Yeah, I appreciate it. All right, thank you. And I'm going to stop the YouTube live on my side.
I'm going to stop it on mine
So-
too.